Hello, everyone. You're listening to Northern Flights, a Park Pro podcast keeping you up to date with the people, tournaments, and culture of disc golf in Canada and beyond. Consider becoming a Patreon today at patreon.com/parkpro. Find us on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Today's episode is brought to you by Disc Golf Park. And now your hosts, Andre, Jesse, and Matt.
Hello, everyone. We are back. We took a week off last week. We had, a few sicknesses running the podcast family, we'll say. Matt's been dealing with a little bit of sore throat. You might hear that a little bit in this one. I got a daughter that, developed some nasty rashes. And, Jesse, you were just straight up busy last week. So, unfortunately, we didn't get one out to you guys last week. But we are here now. Lisp and all. That's right. I don't know if you can see it on the screen on YouTube, but I am missing a tooth. That's a story for another day, maybe. But welcome back. How you guys doing?
Tooth. I just can't get over the tooth. You look so metal.
I know, it's so weird. I anytime I eat, it just or drink, it's just stuff just comes out of that one little hole. And yeah, there's a good visual for you guys.
There's very few things that take you from professional to homeless quite like a missing tooth.
Very, very, very quickly. And I'm like, it's not that bad. And then every morning now I get up, I'm like, dang, I do not look professional. And the funny thing is, Matt and I had a bunch of meetings the next day. Now, fortunately, but unfortunately, that was also when my daughter got sick. So I was unable to attend those meetings anyways. But it's been a bit of a ride.
Yeah, busy, and you were saying Juniper got hand, foot, mouth. Isn't that the playground sickness of all playgrounds?
Yeah, it's nasty, and she got it pretty bad. It's been a rough week, and she just got over a fever the week prior to catching that. So it's been daycare. I tell you what, it's not the nicest thing in the winter.
Yeah, it's the number one place to bring some sickness back to your home. But what would you do without it?
Yeah, no kidding. But we are here to talk disc golf, not illnesses. We have a lot of cool stuff to talk about on this episode. Waco, of course, it's we're recording on Thursday night, so it's a 4-day event. They played the first day today. And then we have, just general Canadian disc golf news to talk about, and we'll kind of go from there. But first off, if you're listening on Spotify or Apple, don't be afraid to head over to YouTube. You can see our pretty faces. You can see a broken tooth. And if you like the episode, there's a like button for that. If you want to hear more, there's a subscription button for that. And as they say in the biz, there we go. Don't forget to like and subscribe right there. And if you are stuck on Apple or Spotify, don't forget to review us if you like the podcast.
Yeah, I don't know how much it helps because I don't see your analytics, but I will say that even on the ones that I've done commentary for, so I know what happens, I go back in and I make sure I upvote all the videos if it helps the algorithm.
There you go. Well, I think it does, and it puts the videos and podcasts in front of more people, and I think it's and especially on Spotify, I think their algorithms are go as far as higher rated podcasts. They get recommended to more people, and thus more people listen to us. So, if you can do those things, if you like the podcast, then that definitely helps us out. So. And if you don't like it, don't worry about it. It's fine. Listen to some other podcast if you want.
No, just keep listening. You'll acquire the taste eventually. That's how
it's like fine wine.
Yeah. First sip of wine.
Or whiskey. Yeah, that's true. My dad always made wine. He had made some not so great wines and some great wines. So just like this podcast, we make some good episodes and we make some not so great episodes. All right. We also have a Discord channel. So, if you want to join the conversation, head over there. We got some of our topics to chat about on the podcast there. And it's just all around. It's a good place to talk to other Canadian disc golfers about what's going on in the disc golf world. So
Yeah, if you've been in there in the last couple of weeks, there's been tips on how to build courses better, what you should do for tee pads, discussions about rules, tournaments to be played, planned, everything else under the sun. It's just a nice place where you can find like-minded people that are willing to, share some knowledge and chat about the game.
Yeah, if you're looking for that, we'll put a link in the description so you can find it pretty easily. But why don't we start off with what's been going on in our disc golf world? Have you been playing much or getting out much at all, Jesse?
I went once, and it was yesterday.
Nice.
Went down to Radium to check things out a little bit. Caitlin came home from work early, and her request was to go play disc golf. So yeah, my jaw hit the floor, and I immediately laced up my shoes, threw the discs in the car, and we went.
Nice.
A little late in the day still. She wasn't home that early from work, and we got through about 9 holes. But it was a lot of fun, and that got us super disc golf mode for the rest of the night, planning what tournaments we're going to, checking. We did, and the night prior we wrote our officials exam with Aiden.
Nice.
So we got another guy. We're going to be a tournament director, and had some general talk about tournament stuff. It's definitely shaping up to be that time of year where all the planning, moving, and shaking starts to happen, all the prep for the season coming. And yeah, other than that, I tried to get some content filmed for my Instagram, cringed myself out of posting it, and went back to the drawing board on that too. But
he is just to post it no matter what.
Yeah, I know.
He just may get you post it.
Yeah, the wheels are turning. I got lots of disc golf on the brain.
Okay,
that's good.
We can do some training right now, Jesse. You ready? Okay, repeat after me. What's up, everybody?
I'm not doing.
Now your turn. This is where you go. What's up, everyone?
You're gonna make me do it.
What's up, peeps?
Yes, I have definitely thought about all those influencer YouTube intros from like 10 years ago when I was watching YouTube as a kid. It's like, yo, it's your boy JT coming back at you with another disc golf video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Smash that like button. No, I can't.
Well, it's permanently on here, and that's going to be a social media post on it.
Flip it. Make a soundbite for the Discord soundboard. At all.
That's a great idea. I once, way back in my very early video editing days, I made a supercut video. I found this guy in Minnesota who did fast food reviews. And it was like a very formulaic thing where he would drive to a place and there would be the same stock music at the start of it. And then it would be him at the box ordering the thing. And it'd always be like some weird new menu item because that's what he was reviewing. So it'd be like, hey, do you have the McTriple twist? And then it would be him in his car. And then he would always do the same intro. And I made a supercut. So it's like I still have it memorized. But he'd start every episode with, what's up, people? What it be? What it do? Happy Man Snacks coming back with a new review. Happy Man Snacks. And he had a theme song. Somebody had made like a rap theme song for him. And it was like at the end of it rhymed Diet Coca-Cola with something places in Minnesota or something like that. It was great. And he would always have awesome. He would take his first bite and there'd be like a music sting every time he took his first bite of something. I'll send you guys the link. I'll put the link in the Discord.
Commit to the bit that hard.
Before this episode is out, I'm going to throw that link up in the Discord. So y'all can see the Happy Man Snacks supercut. It's weird.
It would be fun to do like disc reviews like that. Yeah, everyone does the disc, throw it, do 2 seconds of talking about it, whatever. But it'd be great if it started like the store level. Walk into like a small disc shop, like Fun Hogs in Cranbrook type place that just has a little thing. You have the new Halo Polecats by chance? You hold it up, music bit, go do the review.
I'd watch it.
Tangent. We should do some content like that. I know we've been talking to it, but I'd love to do like what the guys did at Another Round or whatever that store was, where you get like a budget, you got $100 or $80.
Yeah.
Get 3 or 4 playable discs and go see how the round goes. It's hard because I know every time we're all together, we're all on the road with a very dedicated goal in mind of having a tournament or something like that. But
because somebody doesn't want to move to Invermere. Me.
I mean,
Who dat?
it's your fault.
Maybe I'll come visit you guys before the summer starts.
Yeah, worth it. I was just funny where we have a lot of local stuff going on, and in our little Columbia Valley Disc Golf Association group chat, we were talking about tournaments and courses. And I was just like, man, there's a lot of really good courses here in this area, and like gonna be more. So it's just like we're pretty disc golf rich here, and I always have to like pinch myself and remind myself that looking pretty good.
Yeah, I think Jay, myself, Maddie, and a couple others have talked about the Powder Highway, which is our part of the world that goes from Revelstoke down to the border, hitting all the major ski resorts. And I'd love to make, and I actually already looked at doing it a little bit. So maybe this can be an item for the Park Pro web shop. Which, by the way, you get awesome hats at. Go check it out. A plastic highway instead of the Powder Highway that showed all the disc golf courses that were notable instead of the ski resorts.
I'm pretty sure we've had this discussion on the podcast before.
Have we?
Yeah, because I was going to make a documentary and I was going to call it The Plastic Highway.
Oh my goodness. Well, now you have to make the documentary so that you can push the merch out to support the documentary. But yeah, I really want to see a plastic highway shirt that just shows off all the awesome courses we have.
100%. Yeah, I think that's a really good idea. Yeah, if you've never checked out any of these courses, it's well worth the trip. Now, we're talking about people planning their summer vacation, summer tournaments, and definitely put this area on that list, because I remember when, it's funny, I don't even know if I told Matt this, but when I was first started with making Park Pro and ideas for Park Pro, one of them was to create these sort of disc golf tour routes that you could do. And so you could go to our website and you'd be able to find these route selections. They give you a map and hit up all these disc golf courses. And I even started doing like reviews on them so people knew what to expect, and not just like, UDisc is great, but like it doesn't tell you. I mean, I guess it does now. They have all the like beginner level and whatnot, but back in the day it didn't have any of that. And that's kind of where I kind of wanted to try to fill a void there, at least locally. And I think it's probably still up on our website, but they even had a flip-flop rating, and it was how flip-flop friendly is that course.
I'd love to see, and like any commenters or Discord talkers, throw your like epic disc golf road trip in there, because the Rocky Mountain road trip would be great. Leave Calgary towards Aspen Meadows, Canmore Nordic Center, Nipika, Raven's Nest to Wycliffe, across Fernie, Sparwood, Elkford, Lethbridge, and that area, and then back up.
Excuse me.
To Calgary.
Go Organic Sports Ranch, Jesse.
You don't hit that course if you
go out of your way to hit that course.
That means you don't go to Nipika.
But I think here's the thing: is I think you do it the golden route, and then when you get to Radium, just pop over to Nipika, because it's only a half hour from Radium. It's not far, so I think that's the way that you do that trip.
Maybe I undervalue the golden courses for my epic road trip.
Yeah, it just depends on your skill level, right?
That's fair.
Also, I mean, we brought it up on the podcast before. If you haven't played the Go Organic Sports Ranch, it's a must-do at least once.
Yes. It's a disc golf experience like no other.
I won't blame you if you don't do it again.
Yeah. I've only been twice, and I live half an hour away.
Yeah.
I would love to know from our listeners elsewhere in the country if they have a version of Go Organic Sports Ranch, like an old school, object-based, like hippie roots of disc golf course elsewhere in the country, because that's the pinnacle of that type of golf that I've experienced. But I've played a lot more in Western Canada than I have in the whole eastern half of the country. So I would love to know. There's got to be something like that in St. Thomas.
Yeah.
Or around that neck of the woods.
Yeah, because the only other course I can think of in Canada off the top of my head with that whole kind of vibe, it's Pender Island.
That was the one that came to my mind at the start, but I mean, yeah, like you got to think there's something out east though.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I wonder if our listenership is wide enough that someone from Ontario or Quebec will be able to give us We'll hint at what they've got over there.
Let us know in the comments, or even head over to the Discord. If someone in our Discord channel has played anything out east or anywhere really that has that similar vibe to go, I mean, I think it'd be kind of cool to experience those.
Recently bought 2 discs from the, say, 1978 World Frisbee Championships, which were in Southern Ontario, and one of the discs has a woman's silhouette on it, and that's actually, and her name is now evading me naturally that we're talking about it, but she was one of the founders of Discraft. And so you'd have to think that general area must be a very big hotbed for disc sports in general. They were only there for about a year before they moved to Michigan, but they had the ball rolling already at that point. We need Jeff Malton on the podcast. I don't know if you're familiar with Jeff. We're going to keep...
My name is Jeff.
Letting myself tangent over you guys. But Jeff Malton is famously the old PDJ logo, the silhouette of the guy, just like the NBA.
I did hear about this guy.
That is Jeff.
Yeah.
He is from Southern Ontario. He's from that era, and he is such a wealth of knowledge of all these things. He would be the best guy to have just like a quick history of Canadian disc golf minute with, or hours and hours in my case. Yeah, man, Canadian disc golf history is so poorly documented. So much of it.
So much.
We almost need him to like get the pen to paper and make our Canadian Frisbee history website for us, or Hall of Fame type thing.
Or like if we knew some videographers, we could go sit down with them and record a 2-hour-long interview.
Only we knew some.
Make me call him right now.
Where does he live?
We should get him on the podcast. He'd be a great podcast guest.
He's in Ontario?
I met him in the flesh once in Eddyville. And yeah, he looked exactly like you could imagine, like an old skin and bones hippie, 135 pounds soaking wet with like the tournament bag with the quad shock straps on still and everything. Yeah.
That's what the sport does to you, man. It makes you awesome.
It makes you awesome. Getting him and like Glenn Whitlock to give us disc golf history. My goodness. Outer Plastic Highway t-shirts and disc golf history documentary with those two. You pretty much just filled your schedules for the rest of the year.
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on in the disc golf world right now. So it's cool to have some of the we'll say non-professional news and notes and discussions. And that's always awesome to hear. And I think that's a big part of what we want to bring to the table for everyone as well. So we hope we can continue to bring those stories and discussions, but we also have some professional disc golf to talk about, mainly that the second to last tournament that we filmed last year has officially been released. We were going to announce it on the podcast last week, but we did not. So Falcon's Flight, it's out. It's out now. Yeah, this was a lot of fun. It's one that holds a special place in all of our hearts, personally, and definitely worth checking out. Even, I would say it's one of those things. A lot of people sometimes want to watch just the last round. I'd say watch the first round because the intro itself means a lot to a lot of people. So go check that out. And let's see, Ben on commentary did an awesome job and some great action. So.
Even get my YouTuber intro, and apparently when I did it, we'll have to get a yo, it's your boy JT. Cut and pasted into the beginning of that one.
Yeah. What's up, people? What it be, what it do? Jesse Tommelty back with the new disc golf tournament.
Yeah.
Bringing Falcon's Flight to you. Yeah. Oh, you guys did great.
It was fun to do with Ben. And like we were saying, your intro was awesome. I know it's not an easy thing to do. And I thought you did it super tastefully. I'm sure would have been easy to be very heavy-handed with the emotional parts and stuff. I thought it was very tasteful. Really nice.
Yeah, it was, I guess one thing that we probably should have made more clear was that, what drives that tournament now is the volunteers. And of all the tournaments I've been to, the ones I played in and ones that we've covered, it is by far the most heavily volunteered and enthusiastically volunteered tournament. And having like 30 plus I don't even know how many volunteers they would have, but got to be 30 plus, right? Like they had spotters on most of the holes that needed spotters. They had people running around. They had like rotating shifts. It was organized. And it just took the tournament from like a 10 to a 17 out of 10. Yeah, it's hard to describe unless you've been there, but it's having a ton of people there pitching in, and we're this isn't just like, players, partners, and stuff that aren't playing for the weekend. This was, men and women on lead card finishing their round and going spotting or spotting before their card started. Kids, senior citizens. It was awesome, and it just really makes for a community vibe. Like you're not out there just with your card. You're out on a property surrounded by people who love the place, love being there, or having a great time, and it just boosts the atmosphere of a tournament like tenfold. So it was as much a love letter to Rudy and the things that he's done as it is to everybody that stepped up in his place and now like puts in the effort to make it a cool event. So hats off to all of those people.
Yeah. It's a fantastic tournament to attend if you are interested in attending this year's event. Registration for women's and junior divisions opens May 1st. For whole sponsors on May 8th, and general registration is May 15th. So pause this, go to your calendar, mark those on the calendar, or just head over to Disc Golf Scene and follow the tournament because that's even easier. And yeah, definitely one to sign up for. And this is one of those tournaments that you have to be on once it opens up because it fills up immediately.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt if you have under 5 minutes to get your name on that list before it's too late.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, one of the things I really like about what we're doing is we are giving people insight into these tournaments, and it's nice to have these comments and messages from people saying, "Oh, this is a great course. This is definitely a tournament or a course that I want to check out for myself." So, that's always awesome. And if you're interested in any tournaments, and we have them on coverage, go watch those because it's a lot of fun. It's cool to see how the pros can play them, and definitely gives you a little bit of a taste of what these tournaments are like. So.
It's also fun to watch a tournament or a course before you play it because one of the comments we got was, "Oh, well, Paul Macbeth would shoot 18 under at this course." And so I looked it up, and 18 under on the East course would have been like a 1160 rated round. So I don't think Paul Macbeth is going to shoot 1160 on that course. But it just never fails, and I am completely guilty of this too. You're watching disc golf, and you're like, this hole's easy. You just throw it. It's like this huge tunnel, and you just land. It's just a straight forehand, and you just hyzer to the basket. And like, I should be parking this hole like 8 out of 10 times. And then you go to a place and you play the course, and you're like, oh, it's different in person, and I'm also worse than I think I am in my head when I'm watching disc golf. And I miss 20-foot putts fairly regularly, and I'll go out of bounds, and I'll have a hard time scrambling back, and I'll be one over. It's like it is fun to watch a course and then play the course. Like I got to go to Milo McIver one time, and you can go play the hole that Philo albatrossed, and it's a different thing when you're there.
Mm-hmm.
Just getting there in 2.
Yeah.
Shape. That's not a short hole.
No, it was 2 full power throws for a professional. And a perfect S curve.
7 something with a double compound angle you have to navigate it.
Yeah.
It's hard.
Yeah.
I will say something else about Falcon's Plate is that, like you said, when you see it on coverage and you show up, it looks different and feels different or whatever. What the best thing about Falcon's Plate, which we've said, is like the feeling when you're there. Like the community aspect, the vibes, man. Like you can feel it when you walk on the property that you're there for a purpose and everybody else is, and it's that you can't show on coverage, and it's something that's almost impossible to describe. So take my word for it. When you look at the glitter of other big flashy tournaments, PC Open and Alberta Open years past, River City Cup, things like that, you don't get that Falcons Flight feeling. If it is pouring rain and horrible at Falcons Flight, you are still getting this elevated feeling the whole time you're there. And it's something that, while I hope I don't get myself on a wait list because of it, everybody listening that has the time and financial ability to should sign up for that event and go experience it at least once.
As soon as you've seen Jesse Tomalti sign up immediately.
And you guys got to wait behind me. It'd be like a little pop up on disc golf soon. Sorry, Jesse's sleeping.
I thought you guys did a great job of describing that. And like you said, it is the quintessential Alberta disc golf tournament experience of like you go out, camp on site, just you wake up, you walk around, ask people how their rounds went, catch up, sit on a lawn chair with your friends that you maybe didn't see as much as you wanted to that summer. And there's horses walking around. And it was also just some really great golf. Like we got to watch some really great golf. That second round especially was like highlights galore. Like we're talking about ace runs. No spoilers if you haven't watched it, but like there was some wild golf in the second round especially, but all three rounds we saw some like really high level stuff. It was awesome.
Yeah. And it's who wins and who doesn't and how it places out and everything like that. I think it kind of subverts your Western Canadian expectations a little bit of who you're watching. You get to see some new players and stuff. It's worth a watch for sure. Was that a spoiler?
It's worth watching.
That is worth watching.
Spoiler alert. It was fun.
Never mind. I will only spoil more if
Spoiler alert. Great tournament.
Yeah. That's the least spoilery thing you could say about a Falcons Flight. Okay.
Cool. There is other disc golf going on, and I just exited the page. But why don't we talk? We talked about Paul Macbeth possibly throwing an 1100 rated round there. We did have an 1100 rated round recently at the Memorial. One Anthony Barella shooting an 1113 rated round. Notorious course for shooting pretty high rated rounds, but I believe this was, what did he shoot, 17 down, 16 down?
Yeah, 17
shot
down.
In the 30s. Any course in the 30s, that's crazy.
It's nuts.
Big open hyzer courses though.
Oh, I mean, it's built for him. That's like him, Drew Gibson, and other guys like that can throw 500 feet on a hyzer are always going to be doing well at the Memorial. But to put it all together and execute it every time like that, it is pretty special. Surprisingly, didn't come away with the win either, though.
Yeah, because he shot 100 points worse in the next round.
Yes, just still over 1,000 rated.
I was gonna say, it's funny because Jay brought this up and he's like, "Man, people are ripping on Anthony Barella for throwing an 1100 rated round and following it up with the 1,000 rated round." And like, it's just like, yeah. So, like, it's disc golf. Like that's what it is. That's
kind of how the small sample size works, right? Like you make all your putts in one round, and then you're probably gonna miss a few more putts the next round just because. Statistically, he's not a 100% putter from, circle 1 and 2. So it's just like small sample size. Like over the course of 2 rounds, he played around the level that he's playing at these days. It's just he happened to make all his putts in the one round and he didn't make nearly as many putts in the next round.
Yeah, it's
just bonkers though.
It is bonkers what he did, but it's the same thing. It's a game of consistency, and something that we're missing from having Max with us, something Max has always said all the time, is about increasing your baseline, not about making your highest point higher. I think that's a trap that a lot of disc golfers get in all the time, is that they know what they can do when they're executing at their highest level, And they try to rely on that all the time, and then you wonder why the bogeys start showing up.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you go to your local course and you think that you could birdie every single hole. In theory, you could birdie every single hole any given day. But the chances of that happening are not very high unless you're Paul Macbeth or Anthony Barella.
Yeah. The local course thing. We've got Casey and Ben, two of the top 10 at the very least players in the country, playing the Cranbrook College daily since 2006 or 2007. It's been almost 20 years, and there's never been an 18 down on that course.
Yeah.
It's an average just 250 feet per hole,
Mm-hmm.
right? They've birdied every hole hundreds and hundreds of times. It's putting it together and making sure that you can't make that mistake, not that you can execute the shot. Deep thoughts about practice with Jesse. But anyway, Gannon took the win home at that one, which is a good sign. Adapting very quickly to his new bag. Sometimes you get question marks around these manufacturer changes, especially early season, and it doesn't seem to be affecting him that much.
What do you think, as a guy that throws a lot of Discmania? We could say exclusively Discmania. What do you think he was most excited? What part of their lineup do you think has had the biggest impact on his game?
I think Prodigy struggled with consistent distance drivers for a long time. So I think he's going to be really comfortable with DD3s. One thing I saw today, and this really kind of made me scratch my head, is that he put a clip on Instagram at Waco. I'm bad with the whole numbers, but there's the short tunnel shot with the hill on the right side. He had a tactic in his hand on forehand, saying how he was excited that he'd never had that shot in his bag because he never had that slot. And that seems like a really kind of generic slot. And we see Casey throwing A2, A3, A4 all over the place, which are very beloved approach discs. Makes me wonder. The distortion makes me wonder what was so different about that one that gave him this new slot. Other than that,
I mean, other than just like feeling the hand, and I mean, that's the only thing I can think of. Like, because wasn't the I mean, was it just a tactic or was it?
It was like a baseline tactic.
Yeah,
interesting.
The closest disc that Prodigy would have been the distortion, and I don't think they make it in anything other than that premium transparent plastic, whatever you want to call that.
The 400 or whatever it is.
Yeah,
it kind of made me scratch my head because that's not something I thought that was Prodigy's strong suit the whole time, was that approach disc lineup. Maybe that's because we see Casey throw it so well all the time.
Yeah.
We only see highlights, but shocker there. Then maybe he said in some videos that the fairway driver class he was excited for. I know the Prodigy has struggled with that 7-8 speed slot quite a bit. They do really well up until that point, and they do better after. So he's going to have many decisions to make because they're so overloaded in that territory in Discmania. So, yeah. That's my best review I can give you.
And he was probably incentivized to do field work. And that can't hurt in the off season, right?
I bet he had his bag practically made before he even got there.
Yeah,
that guy knows discs.
He knows the lineup. He's a kid. He still has the childlike excitement about a new disc release and all that kind of stuff. He's getting in there. He's trying out different things all day, every day.
Yeah. Speaking of Waco, after day one, there is a pseudo Canadian at the top of the leaderboard. Greg Barsby, shooting a 1072 rated round. Minus 12. He's tied with James and Nicholas as of right now. Just thought I'd throw that out there. Little Canadian tie there. And of course, you could watch Chantel. She was on feature card as I'm assuming a Prodigy's sort of their player that they were allowed to put on feature card. So, and I didn't get to watch it. I was working, but at one point she was even beating Kristen Tatar. So
boom, love it.
Didn't turn out that way at the end, but at one point she was.
Why is Greg a pseudo Canadian? What am I missing?
Greg Barsby?
Yeah.
His I think his mom grew up in Montreal or something like that.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Little known fact.
Oh. Claim him if we can.
Yeah.
Claim anyone has any remote ties to Canada.
That might be exclusive news to the Northern Flights podcast. I don't think that's a well-known fact.
I feel like we've talked about it before. I feel like we've talked about it before. Maybe not.
I know of his like early day disc golf habits and of some like early day escapades because he was way younger than the guys he was playing with. But I don't know anything about the family.
I think that's why he tends to come up to Canada pretty often. I think.
He did do that clinic up north.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He's definitely got a lot of ties here. So, nice to see a pseudo Canadian. We're gonna take him in. We're gonna embrace him as a Canadian, just like we do Simon Lizotte. So,
yeah, acknowledge it, Simon. Come on.
Yeah, I don't know anything else on Waco. I'm kind of excited to see the rest of this event now that I'll have the opportunity to watch. So
yeah, it's a little too early to make a call. It's cool to see Nicholas tied up at first, doing a bigger tour of the States, and Anthony Burrell is only one behind, so he's kind of like keeping his foot on the gas through this early start of the season. It could be the year of AB.
yeah. I did mention Kristen Tatar when I looked, it was hole 8, and she was only at neg 1, and then she had a pretty good second half. So she managed to squeak on lead card there. So Chantel, however, is currently sitting tied for 25th here, and she unfortunately had a rough back 9. So.
I saw a lot of players in both divisions struggling with that back 9. It was really common to see a double bogey or worse on 16 or 17 coming into that final stretch. Guys like Ezra Aderholt was on a heater at the beginning. I think he was 8 down through 10 or something. Ended up only finishing 2 down with a double and a triple in that section of the course.
Mm-hmm.
Really seems to be tripping people up so far.
It's that
I wonder if it's because
middle section is all the wooded stuff is right in the middle. And then there are pitfalls in the last handful of holes, but like you want to start hot, you want to avoid bogeys in the middle in the treat holes, and then you want to finish hot.
17, the one that's eagleable over the top.
Yeah, if you're Jared Stoll.
Yeah, and so I'm wondering if you're seeing big numbers on that hole because people are noticing that play and trying to do their version of it and not executing it as well as they have to.
I think it was just nasty windy, and that's a tough approach. That second shot down to the Finger Peninsula is tough when it's windy, because oftentimes you're hanging out a forehand over the water, or you're trying to do some Valerie Mondahano magic of like the most delicate turnover backhand you've ever thrown in your life with winds.
I mean, speaking of Jared Stoll, just shut out. He shot on neg 7, and he did eagle that hole.
Yeah, he parked it even closer this time than he did last time, and he made his putt.
Really?
Yeah, he did the exact same throw.
Amazing.
It was wild. Awesome. Are there just not that many big thumber throwers? Is he just like elite level thumber guy or what?
I think it's tough on the shoulder to be throwing overhands all year. You know, I think a lot of people think about their longevity and for the whole season and things like that. I don't want to be tearing my rotator cuff on hole 17 of Waco in round 1.
Yeah. A lot of 8, 7, 6s. This is a tough hole.
Yeah.
This was something. So Calvin Heimberg withdrew from this event. He's having some elbow soreness. And he's a guy that has just recently in the last year basically started mixing in power forehands into his game. Like he developed a pretty good to fairly good forehand in his game in the last year or so. And now all of a sudden he's got an elbow injury that's putting him out. And we've started seeing like labrum tears and tendonitis type things pop up a lot. And I'm wondering, is this sort of the result of everyone being expected to have a good forehand now? Like, is this just an inevitable thing that throwing 170 plus gram discs forehand 60 plus miles an hour is just not good for you mechanically?
I think it's good for you mechanically, and I think a lot of these guys that are adding it to their game now really have the other muscles to support that type of movement. When you look at the guys that are really good at overhands and sidearms, it's typically because they're coming from like a baseball background or something where they've been training that since they were children. Like if I see Jake Wolf or somebody like that make one of those throws, I feel like my arm would go with the disc halfway down the fairway because they're generating so much power. That guy's playing around every single day doing that and has been throwing that shape since he was probably 5 years old. Go to someone like Calvin who might not have that. And you're right, the expectation is to be able to get that disc out 400 feet or more on that sidearm. And you can do it, but are all of the stabilizers and all those other muscles and ligaments and tendons in shape to keep up with that motion, especially repeatedly training and on course day in, day out when you have never done it? I don't think so.
Yeah, and I mean, another factor into that is that courses are just getting longer and longer and longer. And, these course designers are trying to challenge top competitors more and more. And like you said, they are basically expecting people to throw these forehands further and further and further. And, these disc golfers, the sport's pretty young. They don't have that. They don't have that built in. They don't know how to build the muscles, the proper muscles. Like you said, baseball players, they do. They know they've trained for that. They're ready for that. But I think we're going to get to a point where you're going to start seeing maybe baseball coaches or someone coming in and teaching disc golfers like, hey, this is how you put less pressure on this part of your body, yada yada yada. This is how your mechanics. I think the mechanics are all going to change or get better, or just training in general as the sport continues to grow. I think that's a side of it that really needs to catch up.
Yeah, I think they're already doing it in Finland, where disc golf is more of a thing, like a more established, organized sport where you can sign up, pay your money, and your kid goes and spends an hour on Tuesdays and Thursdays with a coach or something like that. Where we don't have that. It's get out there, and the way that
Learn.
you can throw harder is you watch YouTube or grit your teeth harder, right? There's no one sitting there and going like, okay, get a resistance band on your wrist and do this at a slow speed to build this muscle and all this kind of stuff. It's watch overthrow disc golf so your footwork is right, and then go outside and throw 1,000 discs until you can throw it far.
Well, and I think as long as YouTube is sort of our primary teaching mechanism, it's a bunch of people that are learning how to teach. And if you don't have the proper coaching in any sport, you're leaving yourself pretty susceptible. Sorry, the tooth makes S's and F's really hard to say.
Susceptible?
Susceptible.
To injury. So, yeah, I don't know. It's that's an interesting thought, actually.
Yeah, I think it's got to be strength and conditioning because Nate Sexton and Jeremy Colling, more so Nate Sexton though. Like Sexton he toured for like 15 straight years, throwing power forehand after power forehand after power forehand. Scott Stokely has been playing disc golf for 30 years, throwing power forehand after power forehand after power forehand. But we're only starting to see like a lot of these injuries now come up, and I do feel like, yeah, it is probably people that have not been throwing sidearm motion stuff a lot in their lives are suddenly adding it. And even if you're doing it a bunch in 1 year, spread out over that year, you can get yourself tendonitis pretty easily. Like people who take up tennis get tennis elbow in the first couple of years of playing, right? And it's because they haven't been doing that motion for 10 years straight. I have so many things to say about this. So much of the coaching I see on YouTube, I'm like very skeptical of. I've seen a lot of people giving like tip videos, and they're just really bad. A, they're just not very good educators. And B, I'm like, what exactly are your credentials here? Like, just because you can put a thing on YouTube purporting to teach people how to do something, like, it doesn't mean that you should. Yeah. And it's easy to sound like you know what you're talking about. It's really easy to sound like you know what you're talking about. If you just give somebody information in a confident tone of voice, the casual viewer would be like, oh yeah, that's really interesting. I'm going to try that out. Yeah, I think that we could do with some maturing in our coaching here in North America.
I think it's starting to go that way. I mean, Paul Ulibarri has that his thing. I don't remember what it is.
There's
Power
the
Academy.
Power Academy and Pulsea Academy.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the beginning steps. I mean, I haven't experienced. It's funny. I have an account for Power. I was one of the people that signed up before they released and I got a lifetime membership. Haven't watched a single thing yet. So it is on my to-do list to see what's up and just get a good.
I don't even know if Paul Ulibarri is that good a teacher. Like, he was giving Nate
That's a-
Sexton some tips on their Waco practice round, and I was like, that tip doesn't make any sense. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. He coaches people putting. He's had like 5 different putting forms, and he had a
Yeah.
pretty good putting year last year, but like historically, he has not been a spectacular putter.
I think
Like,
what
is
the
he? Why is he
cool thing
coaching
is-
people?
I think the cool thing is that they are bringing a bunch of different disc golfers in. So for instance, I know that Colin Hanley, who is one of the people that I like on her Instagram, she gives a lot of tips, and she's one of the people I enjoy watching her because I don't know if it's the right way, but just like it is really, it's easier to follow. It's been the easiest one to follow so far for me, and it's just so they bring in people to teach different aspects of the game. So I mean, it kind of all comes down to like, if Eagle or Calvin, these, taller people try to teach me how to move my body, which is a completely different body type, it's not going to work the same. But I think that's where I just think like we're going to start getting mechanic coaches in the game.
I don't think there is a set mechanics for a lot of it. There's a lot of ways to kind of skin a cat in this sense. And the one that sticks out to me was Eagle McMahon's sidearm advice. And it was to keep your elbow tucked to your side and locked and rotate through with your hips and then let your hand come through. And like 4 days later, there's a Scott Stokely video saying, I don't agree with Eagle. You need to get your elbow up and out and away and do this other movement. And they're 2 of the most talented and prolific power sidearm throwers to ever play the game.
And one of them tore his labrum throwing a forehand, and the other one didn't.
I was going to say, and actually, I think if you go back into our podcast history and listen to the Scott Stokely, he talks about this exact point about, all these YouTube teachers, and that's why he developed his Scott Stokely method. But I think even that one, like, I'm sure that people can get a lot from that and they can get a lot better, but it doesn't teach you the proper way to build the muscles that you need to avoid injury. And that's, I think, the largest missing piece. Like, you think about professional sports, a lot of athletes have their own personal coaches that are working with them on all of these things. Tennis is insane. I've been watching that Netflix Breakpoint, whatever. They have so many different coaches and like physiotherapists, massage therapist, like everyone that follows them to all these events. And then they have their like main coach. It's just crazy. And I mean, there's a lot more money in that, but you got to start to think like there's some value to that, especially in a sport like tennis where I'd say like as far as, prime athlete and prime conditioning, it's probably pretty similar to disc golf as far as, the muscles that you're using in your arm, especially on the forearm, because it's a lot of the same motion. So.
You know who does have strength and conditioning coaches is Dylan Cease. And he doesn't throw any forehands when he's disc golfing. Because that's his moneymaker. He said he'll throw backhands all day. Like, he can play backhand disc golf whenever he wants. But he does not throw power sidearm throws.
Yeah, it's not worth the risk.
Yeah.
We're talking about a multi-million-dollar arm, though.
Yeah, Buddy's got more insurance on that arm than I have on my house.
Yeah. So I've said this before, and I've said both of these things before. First, when I saw Nate Sexton and Paige Pierce do a clinic at 2018 Nationals, I asked them both, like, and especially Nate as a forehand dominant guy, because at the time I was like a forehand dominant player, but I was starting to have arm issues. And I asked him, I was like, what have you found for an arm care routine? Like, is there a number of throws you want to have in a day, in a week? Are there a number of rounds you want to play? Like, what have you found? How do you take best care of your arm when you're throwing a lot of forehands? And he just said Advil and Aleve. He didn't have a plan. He had a pain management plan. That was his plan as a professional athlete, which to me was crazy. And that was 5 years ago, 6, 7 years ago, whatever it is. So that's kind of sad. Also, I really think there's going to be a revolution in discs when manufacturers figure out how to make good, overstable plastic in the lighter weights. Because if you've thrown a 150 class disc, 150 gram disc forehand versus a 170 gram disc, your arm notices the difference big time. A 150 gram disc is like throwing paper. Do you imagine throwing 130 gram discs? Like a baseball, I think, is somewhere in the 110s. It's like 112 or 118 grams. And I could throw a baseball sidearm all day as hard as I can. But I can't throw a 170 gram disc as hard as I can sidearm all day anymore. And if everything was like 140 grams but as stable, that would be a game
I
changer.
think they can make discs with stability because it's probably more about parting line height and attack angle of a wing and things like that. But I think no matter how overstable you make that wing, you don't conquer the wind aspect as much with a lighter weight disc. So I think there's still a necessity for heavier
In
ones.
low
It is
wind
interesting.
and in tailwinds, though,
Yeah.
Why
I'm
not?
just wondering, like, if you'll see people, they're already walking around with 6 destroyers.
yeah.
What if one of them was 150 gram?
Yeah, throw in a
Mhm.
lightweight,
And it would,
overstable driver and a lightweight. Like I've got a 150 Firebird, and it's the most overstable Firebird I've ever owned.
I'm pretty sure before when Thomas was still throwing Innova, I looked at one of his in the bags and it was like a 150 destroyer or something.
he still
Yeah,
bags it.
it's crazy.
Yeah, it's very
And
overstable.
baseball weigh between 142 and 149 grams.
Yeah, 150 gram. There you go.
Okay. Big difference. It's 20 or 30 grams makes a big difference.
99baseballs.com.
99baseballs.com. Website you never thought you'd make it to.
Shout out
Super
99baseballs.com. Do you want to do an ad read now for 99 Baseball? We forgot to announce that it's our new sponsor, by the way, is 99baseballs.com.
99baseballs.com.
Multi-golf has got a new sport.
Yeah.
You throw a baseball into the court.
It is time for a good little sponsor read here. Disc Golf Park, of course, sponsor this episode and all of our episodes.
I thought we did the night. Are we not doing 99? Oh, I'll send them an email.
Matt said he was going to dub out 99 for any time I say Disc Golf Park in here. So.
Yeah, I'm going to edit in 99 baseballs for the rest of this ad read. Good luck.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to try to say this with as little lisping as I can. Disc Golf Park is a unique disc golf course concept developed in Finland in 2005. It is based on the idea of building sports facilities in an environmentally friendly way. Disc Golf Park provides great experiences for players of all skill levels, from beginners to professionals. Our main ideology is to introduce disc golf to new audiences. There are several options to suit any kind of courses, and all official disc golf parks include professional and safe course design, Disc Golf Park Pro targets, tee pads and tee signs, and an info board to welcome players to your course. The Disc Golf Park World concept consists of multiple courses designed for different types of players. Multi-golf is a new fun activity for the whole family, and in multi-golf, 3 forms of golf are played: foot golf, disc golf, and park-style pitch and putt. School Disc Golf Park offers students a new and exciting form of exercise for the physical education classes. A course suitable for schools can be designed even in a small area, for instance, a schoolyard. Furthermore, the costs of School Disc Golf Park are lower than those of regular disc golf parks. We also offer private and group lessons or clinics. For more information, check out the website at discgolfpark.com and request a quote today. I said I was having trouble with F's and S's. There's a lot of F's in disc golf.
S&F, Disc Golf Park.
Yeah, so shout out to Disc Golf Park. We really appreciate it. And also to our patrons, because there's a lot of support that goes on through patreon.com/parkpro. And we appreciate every single one of you. We've had a number of people join us over the winter, and we really appreciate that. It really goes a long way. So head over to patreon.com/parkpro and become a patron for as little as $1.50 a month.
You would, if you're a patron, you would have had early access to Falcon's Flight, and you will get early access to our final CDGT event, Gold Eagle Open, as soon as it's done.
Yeah, and I mean, just even more insight into that. What we do is once we're done editing, we upload it to YouTube, and then pretty much as soon as they're all uploaded to YouTube, we post them on the Patreon. So usually it's a couple days, so you don't have to wait for us to release them once a day, and you can binge watch right off the hop.
I didn't realize that people are like binge watchers.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
watching Shogun right now, and I hope you are too, because it's fantastic.
it's on the list.
But I'm trying to tell a friend to watch Shogun. He's like, yeah, I'm aware of it. But I'm waiting till all the episodes come out, because I won't watch it on a weekly basis.
I'm doing it with Halo.
How spoiled we've
As someone who's
become.
watched a little bit of Halo, Shogun is on a very, very different level.
I watch it for the nostalgia, because all I remember is in high school just going over to a friend's house and doing the setting up 2 Xboxes in different rooms and system linking in Halo, and oh man, they got competitive.
Played Pro Halo. Did you know that?
No.
Just for a few months. Yeah, in university when I was supposed to be doing my schoolwork, I practiced with an MLG pro team, and then I was supposed to have my pro debut during exams. I was gonna do it instead of exams, and then I would have to talk to my father, and I promptly quit.
Hey.
It's hard and fun.
Yeah.
And I
Dude,
haven't
how
touched it
many
since,
how many
'cause
niche sport careers have you had, Jesse?
all of them I played in the competitive freaking paintball league too. All sorts of fun stuff.
I knew about that one.
Yeah, I played all over the country. Played in the Canadian Professional League out west, BC Pro League, the Interior League, and then the Canadian X-Ball League in Ontario.
Crazy.
I've been in every niche sport, weird thing you can think of.
Do they have coverage of their paintballing?
Oh, I think I showed a sizzle reel to Matt.
Yeah. No, I've seen that. Yeah.
But yeah, they have live coverage
Cool.
of all of it and stuff like that too. It's
Well-
very expensive and very violent. I think the new kids on the block are not down for it. I think that's a sport that's shrinking at the same rate as disc golf is growing.
I can see that. I was funnily enough at a park that had a disc golf course in it in Calgary. I don't remember which one. Not Baker. It was another one. It was just a tonal course. A guy in the field that was set up cones, got his paintball gear on, and just practiced sliding from cone to cone. And he was just like, he did it for like probably 45 minutes, just like going from one, going to the other one, and just like power sliding. It's pretty
Yeah.
cool. I was impressed.
The sports side of that game is very different than the recreational side of that game. The recreational part's in the forest, you're dressed like a soldier, doing all that kind of stuff. The sports version is like a set size 200 foot by 100 foot, 140 foot wide arena, or 140 by 100 for 5-man. And games are sometimes done in 25 seconds or less, and it's very much your best 30-yard dash and dive face first into the ground.
Crazy.
And how fast can you move them fingies?
They got rid of that
Yeah.
What?
half a decade before I stopped. Yeah, they just make it so if you pull the trigger 3 times in a row, then every time you shoot, it'll shoot like 5. You
Really?
have to tap it once every 3 seconds to keep those going.
Interesting.
I've got a suggestion: paintball, Major League Paintball. Who's the big paintball league these days?
It's still the NXL, National X-Ball League.
Listen, I've got a suggestion. We don't need more paintballs. First of all, it's a waste of paint. Second of all, it's just like it's stupid. You can't follow what's going on. There's paint just flying everywhere. It's like every game is a Jackson Pollock painting. You give everybody 5 balls in their marker. How exciting would that be? How exciting would that be?
Very boring.
Oh my God, it would be so tense.
Strategic. Be like chess.
Yeah.
I like the part where you could like shoot someone in the neck 11 times in half a second, and that ugly part of it more than
Why not give somebody a paint hose? You know, he's the flamethrower
Murder's
guy on the
going.
team.
I don't know. It's not something I've been involved with for I don't know.
They have paint grenades.
They do
Yeah,
for the
they have
foresty
paint
type guys.
Huh.
Hey, I went to a place in Quebec for what called a big game. which is where it's a big event, and this one was somewhat military style. There's 1,700 people playing at the same time. There was a helicopter overhead with people calling out positions to their people, and there was actual like tanks, man.
That's insane.
Like full blown
Imagine just like
tanks.
you're in the forest, you're walking along a road or whatever, and then all of a sudden you see a tank, you're like, no, and this just giant thing of paint just comes straight at you, hits you in the face.
So they had it so that this is now a paintball podcast.
I was gonna say this is kind of like what we call a glow round.
Yeah,
this is fun because like I'm
for you.
self-conscious about this stupid niche sport that we play that I love so much, and it's just nice knowing that there's other stupid niche sports that exist that are also amazing.
Yes, it's more cringe and as much fun as disc golf. But the tank thing, they set like 4 guys on each team, which is like there's 800 people aside, and you only get a couple of them, where they had essentially rocket launchers that were like full air tanks with Nerf football type things in them, and it would dump the whole air tank. And good God, it would break your ribs if you got hit with it. And so homeboy would be running with like a PVC pipe homemade rocket launcher that had been spray painted black and camo or something. It would just shoot a Nerf football at 400 feet. It was terrible.
It's pretty
Paintball's stressful enough just with the regular markers.
Yeah,
I couldn't when I had glasses, I couldn't play paintball because this was like, 5 minutes in, I'm just like I'm hyperventilating so hard that the visor was fogging up, my glasses were fogging up, like I'm covered, like I'm dripping in sweat. I couldn't imagine if there was a tank chasing me around on top of that, and 600 people trying to kill me. Sounds great though.
Speaking of niche sports, the same park when we left, well, first of all, there was rugby there. This is kind of what made me miss being in like a larger city because there was so much sports going on. There's rugby, but then as we were leaving, there was also people setting up multiple courts for double disc court. Which
Seriously?
if you've never, yes, I was like, because at first I'm like, why are they setting up these pylons? And I was like, the only thing I know that has that is double disc court. And sure enough, they pulled out some discs. It's like, whoa.
That I want to play so bad.
Well, tell you what, I know a guy that's got a like double disc court disc, and we'll get it going this spring.
Yeah, I don't think I got it in me for guts anymore.
No,
DDC would be sick.
Yeah.
DDC is one of those sports, like if you look it up and you watch a game, you're like, this is the dumbest thing ever. But it's got to be like 20 times more. It looks like 2 people playing weird catch when you watch it, but I can imagine it would be super fun to play.
It's just cardio catch, really, is what it is.
Yeah.
Like tennis. Like pickleball tennis. Pickle tennis. No, pickle disc.
Which is also just kind of like cardio catch with a paddle, right?
Yeah. In a way.
I keep saying it because, man, I need some cardio. I need to exercise more.
Yeah. We all.
Yeah.
Don't some of us.
All of us on
this podcast. I'm talking about our listeners as a whole.
Yes.
Because they're part of this conversation.
As the greater disc golf community still needs the cardio. Trust me.
Yes.
I do lots of cardio. It just makes me real hungry. Just kidding.
I want my lungs to inflate again.
Yes.
I don't want to go to like a Raven's Nest, Wycliffe type course, and then you get to the top of the big hill and you're like, I can feel my heartbeat in my earlobes.
Who's up first? Hopefully not me.
Yeah, that's the one time you want back of the box, walking up to hole 5 at Raven's Nest.
Yeah, you're like you're putting on hole 4 and you're just like, should I put this in for birdie?
Oh no, I hit the cage. Whoops.
Oopsies.
30 seconds, let's go. If I'm not top of the box.
Yeah. As soon as they get to the top of the hill.
Okay, let's go.
Oh,
yeah. That's when you start just recording your hole scores really slowly. The last one. Backups due to cardio. Lack of cardio. All right, well, I mean, I think that's it. I think
we've hit
went on some tangents. It's really funny because once again we had some ideas for some discussion topics and we just kind of decided not to talk about those things and just go off on our own.
Falcons playing paintball.
Yeah. Makes sense.
If you play any other weird niche sports, let us know in the comments. Because we want to give the love to all the weird niche sports. It's, we
Spike ball?
we
have
talk
any
crap.
professional spike ball players?
Spike ball's rad, man.
Spike ball's sick.
At the highest level, spike ball would be sick. And like even like lesser played established sports, like we got any water polo pros in here? You know what it's like to play a cardio sport where people try to actively drown you. That one's wild.
Yeah.
That sport's, that is like organized attempted murder, that sport. People are like pushing you and then like kicking you.
Also, just like treading water and trying to throw a ball really hard is not easy.
You're just treading water for that long in general.
Yeah.
Like, these are.
I live in Edmonton. We have a Rundle Park is our sort of our go-to course here, and they have a kayak polo court. I don't know what you call kayak polo playing area, but they have like a little a rectangular lake pond, and there's people, and they have kayak polo baskets. Like it's like a basketball backboard that's a net. So the ball has to go in it like horizontally, and then it catches in this net. And I've heard the kayak polo people making fun of disc golfers. I was like, dude, we have a significantly less weird niche sport than you guys at this point. I don't think they're allowed to make fun of us. But it's great because people throw their disc in the lake, and the kayak polo people are really nice. They'll like take their paddle and they'll fling it back out onto land. And then when they lose their ball out of the pond, we'll throw it back to them. It's all love.
Take it as far as we can. Oh. Can you imagine hearing
Boot
some
it.
guy
Go get
make
it,
fun of
boat
you,
boy.
and then it rolls onto the shore right after he smack talk your sport, and like,
Rob kick it into the other pond.
how far I can kick this thing.
What are you going to do now? Get out of your kayak?
My territory now, pal. Welcome back to dry land.
Good. Well,
Hooray. Shout out for all the niche sports.
yeah. And if you made it this far and you can make it, Recipe Rating Series is registration's open as well. So thought I'd throw that in here at the end.
Yeah. A good start to your season. Knock the rust off your rating.
Yeah. Or add some.
Put some more rust on it. Yeah.
If you're playing in Division 2 high for what you're comfortable in last year, get some rust on those ratings.
Yeah. Oh, Matt.
Listen,
Take us out.
I like a funny podcast outro as much as the next person. We did lose a member of our disc golf community recently in Edmonton. Richard Zimmerman was a guy that I had played a bunch of rounds with. We had some fun battles and tournaments, played in the same division. And I saw on Facebook that we lost him recently. And so condolences to all his friends and family and everybody that played around with him. I was just looking at random pictures on my phone, and I had a selfie of the two of us duking it out in the good old MA1 days. And so respect and cherish your disc golf friends.
R.I.P.
R.I.P.